Start within a minute if the live transmission is ready. Thank you very much for being with us. Those of you who are following online, you would have taken a break. Those of us who were here, we had the opportunity and the delight to enjoy some refreshments in the meantime. After the very interesting and dynamic discussion in the first part of the panel, where we discussed the new geopolitical reality of the world that we are living today, the importance of the digital literacy, the digital technology, and the cybersecurity, we are going to move to something more specific. We are going to move into the domain of digital technology, artificial intelligence, and critical infrastructure. For those of you who are the generation of mine, you would remember movies like E.T. Phone Home. It sounded like science fiction that we will never leave. Then we watched movies like Avatar, and we believe that this is a virtual reality that will never be part of our daytime. 2023, a year that we live in today with all the challenges that were mentioned this morning, yet we are living in the domain of what nowadays some companies are calling it metaverse or virtual augmented reality, where we are not even presenting ourselves by our own identity, but by our digital identity. Are we ready to embrace this kind of new world? Is our educational level prepared to answer to this kind of challenges? And more importantly, if we are ready as individuals, are the institutions and is the infrastructure prepared to answer to this kind of challenges? I'm so delighted that we are going to be able to continue the discussion now with yet another distinguished panel, which involves high-level specialists, and I underline specialists coming from abroad and from Macedonia. I will start directly from my right side. Ladies always come first. We agreed with that. It's bon ton, and that should be kept as such. I hope the artificial intelligence understands that too. I have on my right side Anita Nikolova, the program country director of CIDR program. On my left side, I have together with me Dovi Goren, vice president of Cybergym IEC from Israel. On my far right, don't confuse it with far right, but just far right in terms of physical presence next to me, I have Ivica Georgievsky, who is the information security officer from one of the major financial institutions in the country, that is Stopanska Banka. On my left side, I have Elad Cohen from a digital tech company in Israel called Thrive DX. And on my far left, again, from a physical point of view, nothing to be confused with anything else, I have Kirill Akimovsky, a professor or a host here at the American University of Europe, FON. Without further ado, because we want to make sure that we have a dynamic discussion, Dovi, if I can move directly to you. We're talking about digital technology, artificial intelligence. Are we forgetting the human factor in it? Can we discuss about digital without human? We even heard one of the speakers in the previous panel saying, oh, no, I do not trust that digital is the only solution. I need to have a human interaction. I need to have my human touch in order to be able to trust the technology fully. Are we ready for digital without human, or human with digital has to be integrated fully?
Thank you very much. A great question. Discussed before, many people mention it. Actually, the answer is that as far as we are going with technology, we need the human factor more. It's become more and more complicated, and we are seeing it all over the world now. And if we talk about human factor, we're also talking about training. Because once everything today is connected, yeah? It can be a factory, it can be a government office, it can be countries. Yeah? Today the cyber war, it's a global war, there is no borders, everybody knows. Because of these amazing and advanced technologies, that in fact many of them coming from Israel. But if on the other end we will not have the human factor, the expertise to manage these technologies, so we have a big problem, and we already in this problem big time. In the previous panel, people talk about the attacks. Michel talked about the black energy attack in 2015. I will talk about it after when we talk about the collaboration with phone and CyberGym, but it just shows you that the question today is not when will be the attack, the question is if. Just to tell you some numbers, yeah. 2022, the spending on cybersecurity was around $300 billion. And 2025, we're talking about $500 billion. So government understands the need for cybersecurity. Education, we talk about more than 50% increment on attacks on educations. Universities, colleges, and so on. Hilik mentioned before the Technion in Israel, maybe the #1 institution for IT in Israel that was attacked 2 weeks ago. We talk about education in general. So today there is a big lack of cyber experts, yeah? And we know that out of 10 attacks, probably around 9 will be according to the human factor. And usually it's just because there is no knowledge, a lack of awareness. It's not because of sabotage or something like this. And here we are talking about the need to train the people. You know, I'm going all over Europe, in every country, it doesn't matter, East Europe, Central Europe. 2 weeks ago I was in Germany. In Germany, West Europe, they say, we don't have enough experts. So here comes the real need for the human factor and for the trainings. Now, regarding, we wanted to talk a bit about the collaboration between the universities or the academia, the industry, and the government, because it's a global war, and countries that will not adapt this kind of system and collaborations. That's why what phone is doing here is so important, to create this arena and a center of excellence for cyber. So all these 3 parts of the country will come together, government, academia, and industry. It will be a big problem to fight cyber attacks. So once you create this kind of collaboration and system, for example, in Israel, we created a cyber directorate that actually control all the critical infrastructure in one center, one security operations center. And you can see in the past 5 years since we started it, much better ways to defend against cyber attack. And unfortunately, we are living in regions that not everybody likes us. So there is a lot of attempts to attacks on critical infrastructure in Israel. I can talk about Israel Electricity Corporation that more or less around 8,000 attempt to attacks per day. They have a very good cyber system in place, so they defend all of it, but many people try to attack them. So if we don't have this system, that we have the 3 factors in place, government, academia, and industry, we will never defeat it. And you know, the Israel Electricity Corporation is the only one that produces power in Israel. If it gets hacked, you can imagine it's a national security problem. And this kind of knowledge and training from Israel we are trying to do in the world, and here with Phone University. Another very important factor that's coming from training and the human factor is innovation. Once we are doing this collaboration with universities, like what we're going to do here with the Cyber Arena, we see new ideas coming from the industry, from the students. We see all this networking coming together, And in Israel, we have a lot of startups that started from this kind of collaboration between the academia and the industry. And the last thing I want to say about this collaboration we are doing here, that this year we're going to establish the first cyber arena in the Balkan, here in North Macedonia with the Phone University. It was a great initiative for Mr. Kanowski that looking to be the hub of the cyber arena here. So we are very proud to do it, and we hope to succeed in this account.
Thank you very much, Dovi. You mentioned something that actually raises a big question. You said we need to train people, but there is not enough trained people at the moment that are going to be able to deliver the human factor that is needed for the cyber protection, for the technology, for the capacity in order to be able to manage the challenges of today.
Yes, it's, this is a main problem actually. We don't have enough people, especially in regions that didn't take the steps ahead. You know, even in Israel, we don't have enough cyber experts. Today, for every job that the companies they look for cyber experts, there is not many candidates. It's very hard to find experts. And in Israel, we started, compared to other parts of most of the world, yes, let's say, and we got lucky, yeah, that we realized what's happening or what's going to happen 20 years ago. So we have experts, but not enough. In other places in the world, also in the Western world, you see lack of experts, like 20 or 30% capacity. And as you say, if we will not involve the universities, the academia, and create much more cyber education, and not just theoretical, practical, because from here, after all the academical phase, we need to really make a practical practice. So when they go out to the field and they go to work in security operations center of a utility company, or of a bank, or insurance company, they will know what to do. Because during live cyber attacks, the hackers will not ask them, okay, you have the knowledge or not. They will try to attack them, and the hackers become smarter all the time. You know, we all the time defending. In our company, we have a red team. It's ethical hackers that all the time searching the net and checking how hackers acting and the hacker point of view. And all the time they get more and more smart. And today they are attacking endpoints. You know, we talk endpoints, they will attack finance, they will attack HR, not necessarily IT. From there, they can easily go to all the organization. So we need much, much, much more experts that come from this academia.
Thank you. I'll move to Elad, who is next to you from ThriveDX. When I was preparing for this panel, I was checking the website of ThriveDX, and you have some kind of astonishing figures over there. I mean, Dovi mentioned some astonishing figures, like 300 billion or 500 billion US dollars spent a year in cybersecurity, but you're also mentioning some figures which you can all check on your cell phones, saying like 75 million jobs will be displaced by the end of 2022, or 133 million new digital roles will emerge soon, or 54% of the people will need to reskill or upskill on the top of the education that we need in order to address the challenges. What kind of interinstitutional cooperation do we need in order to guarantee cybersecurity, if these are the figures that you're presenting on your website?
Thank you very much. First of all, indeed, we need the institutional collaboration and cooperation in order to fulfill this gap. It's a huge gap that you are mentioning, and the long story I will speak about the history of my nation, Israel, how we started to fulfill this gap. And this gap started 10 years ago to be fulfilled. Once we understand everything in Israel is written by blood, as you know, we are surrounded with a lot of enemies, and we are well known in our defense capabilities, and we knew how to manage our borders, land, sea, air. But 10 years ago, we started to see new threats with no border. It started from Iran and took place from different other countries. And then we had to define a new dimension. the fourth dimension. We have the land, sea, the air, and then we defined in Israel, in the national level, the fourth dimension, the cyber dimension. And once we defined this dimension, all the institutions started to work together in the national level. Intelligence, offensive cyber, defensive cyber, and then slowly, we took it down to the industry, we took it down to the society, to the universities, and etc. And here is the opportunity for me that I spent 11 years in the Israeli Defense Force. I was part of this, generation that built this kind of dimension, and everything comes through the national level, through the defense force, through the intelligence. And we took, after we retired, all this information, all this knowledge, all these methods, and now we are pleased to be here. We are honored to be here and to collaborate with Fon University and with the visionary Mr. Sefer, that is a good friend and partner of us, in order to provide, and we launched a couple of months ago, together with Mr. Kire, that will speak in a minute, a unique program, bootcamp, that we are calling it bootcamp, cyber bootcamp from zero to hero, in order to provide people from the industry and from the government the ability to learn in 3 months period all the methods and everything they need in order afterwards to be positioned in different cyber position in the industry and in the governments, and to defend and to protect the Macedonian assets. And once you are defining it from the top level of the nation as a fourth dimension, that you need to integrate all the institutions from the government and from the private sector, from the finance sector and from the universities. It's a national vision that needs to be done here in order to bring the society to this level for you to be protected from the next generation threats like we are facing now, and we see it in every new war or new threat that is coming up to us.
Thank you a lot. It's very enlightening to hear this fourth dimension that you're talking about, the protection that you're introducing in terms of defense of Israel. Because let's be honest, when we think about Israel and the conventional threats, most of the rockets that are coming from Hamas, from Gaza or whatever, we think about the Iron Dome as the excellent way that Israel has managed to shield itself from the defense attacks, but we do not hear very often about the cybersecurity domain that you are presenting now, and that is very important. What we have heard also in terms of cyber attacks in domain was mainly about the US. For the last 3-4 more years, we are talking about cyber attacks on the United States, about the US elections being compromised. The war by Putin has been started on the US and the democratic institutions with the hacking of the DNC, with the influence and interference in the election campaign. So the US has been on the forefront of informing the world how important it is to protect the cyberspace and the cyber domain. Anita, you're working with the CIDR, CIDR program here, financed directly by USAID, which is arm of the UR government. What actually are you doing in terms of programs and readiness here to have the preparedness of this country to be able to answer the challenges?
Thank you, Emil. First of all, congratulations on the 20th anniversary. It's such a milestone that I'm admiring to all of you, especially to the very enthusiastic president here and to the rest of the team that is pushing all the activities forward. And I wish you many more anniversaries such as this one, and we gather together on the 40th, on the 60th, on the 80th, and finally on the 100th, which we will not probably be here to celebrate, but the new generations of ours for whom we are doing all this will be here to do this together. What I'm amazed of actually is that Fon is really addressing this cybersecurity topic quite actively, and not only in this kind of panels, but actually through the curricula that they are throwing towards the students. So they are in a very positive manner imposing the topic that is already for years now, how can I say, addressed by many of the countries, by many of the advanced countries. Macedonia being irrelevant is both positive and a negative thing, but we are kind of becoming relevant. So this means that also we are in a situation where we really need to accelerate our activities and our, I would say, joint forces so that we protect ourselves. From many of my colleagues in the CIDR program, I'm constantly hearing that cybersecurity is 90% prevention and only 10% actually at the end of the day is reaction and defense and settling of the incidents when it is happening. So I really believe that this is the case, and this is on which we should be also focusing, prevention. Preventing of several dimensions of our society, but mainly of our human capital, especially in the public sector, with whom we should work very closely. CIDR is a regional program covering 12 countries from 3 different regions. That is what is making it very, I would say, specific and also interesting. We are covering several countries from the ex-Yugoslav Republic. We are covering 2 countries of the Caucasus region, and we are covering several countries of the Eastern Europe part, mainly Ukraine and Moldova, from where we are not only following but learning very interesting scenarios and ways how they have been dealing with some of the great aggressions that they have been facing. What we are doing now in Macedonia is what everything has been explained by our colleagues previously from Israel. So we are trying to enhance the capacities of the institutions to become more resilient in the topic of cybersecurity. Primarily, we are trying to push forward the law on network information security, which is non-existent in Macedonia until this moment. And we do that through a certain task force that is critical infrastructure cybersecurity working group that is consisted of many of the cybersecurity experts coming from the public sector. And yes, there are still some of them in the public sector. Let's try to keep them in the public sector as much as we can, because they are very meaningful in our activities going forward. Later on, we will also work on some of the capacities built in the national CERT. We will be also working in the information sharing platform that is under the national CERT, a mechanism through which many of the public institutions should share the information related to the attacks that are having constantly, I would say, in the past year or so happening. Because at the moment, if you believe, we are not having a mandatory reporting of cybersecurity attacks in the country. So what is happening is that we don't know actually what we are facing with exactly, and this is something that we would like to try to establish as a defensive mechanism so that we really know what is happening. That is going to be settled in the cybersecurity law. Another component that has been mentioned by many of the speakers previously, and I'm going to address, is the workforce development part. So we will have some activities together with FON, but also with other universities, to empower the curricula that they are having related to cybersecurity courses and topics. And we will also help and support the academic staff that is teaching these classes to become as efficient as possible in these activities. Lastly, we will also work on exchanges of different kinds of experiences and knowledges, even technologies, with our US partners, with whom we are trying to build this more resilient ecosystem here in Macedonia. So in a nutshell, if this was a nutshell, this is what we are doing at the moment, and we will be happy to work with anybody coming from all of the aspects of the ecosystem to really build this resilient ecosystem in the closest of future. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Very important aspect you mentioned, awareness raising. We might not be actually 100% aware of the attacks that we are being suffering all the time because we have not developed neither awareness that this is an important field, nor created an infrastructure that we are going to share information and data about what is actually happening around us, because we are unaware. And this field of activities are very important because it mentions the real need for institutional preparedness and the capacity that are being needed. And speaking about institutional preparedness, where you said we need to have people who are in the public sector who need to address this. If I'm turning to you, you were in the public sector, now you're in the private sector. And we discussed while others were having the opportunity to have a drink, we talked about the legal changes and whether those legal changes are actually making an impact. Apart from the legal changes, artificial intelligence itself can be as a crucial element that will help the preparedness to address cyber attacks. What is your experience in that? What is your message to convey?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like also to thank you, to congratulate about the 20th anniversary of Foreign University, as I was one of the students here of my master degree. So I had a really valuable experience here. And related to artificial intelligence, as you said, this is a buzzword, especially last half a year, 5-6 months, especially if you say ChatGPT. Now people are really delighted how it works because they have never seen it in such a way to work that technology. But looking at that way, many people are talking now the artificial intelligence will take your place, now they will replace people and so on. But I do not agree on that. Actually, I will start with one sentence. It says, artificial will not replace you, but people who will use artificial intelligence will replace you. So in that terms, we have to find a way how to enhance that technology, how to use it, because there is no going back. The technology is here. Someone mentioned in the previous panel about comfort. People are enjoying in the comfort. People are really resistant on changes, on big changes, and they're not willing to accept such technologies. But few people will see an opportunity in that. And we, as a small country, we should see opportunity in these digital technologies, because now the world is a small village, I would say, and we should use that technology to deliver our services to the world, not just within the country. Because the artificial intelligence has been here in the past years, but we didn't see it much. For example, the big tech companies like Google, Facebook, like Microsoft has been using for years, but in the backend. We were just seeing some automated pop-ups, messages, and so on. Now we are going to able to use it. But now we are seeing the free version of artificial intelligence. There will be a commercial one. Companies will sell it, and it will sell it. And probably it will replace many jobs, especially in the countries where they're delivering services. I have one fact here that in some countries, 75% of their economies is delivering services. So if the artificial intelligence replace those jobs, so they will probably benefit a lot. But with every technology, there are risks also coming. So we have to learn how to manage those risks, because on the end, the artificial intelligence is just a tool, you know. And I will come to the basics. A hammer is just a tool. So with a hammer, you can do good things and you can do bad things. Also with the artificial intelligence, you can do good things and you can do bad things. So again, in the previous panelists, they've mentioned something about agile. So the government, like a positive criticism, I would say, is not much agile, but the bad guys are agile. For example, just last week, Bank of Silicon Valley, they announced that they will collapse. Just next days, there were over 20 domains were registered with a similar domain of Silicon Valley Bank. And there were a lot of phishing mails sent to the people with malicious links and malicious attachment. So the bad guys are not sitting, they're not sleeping, and they're very agile. We have to learn to be agile, we have to be more proactive, and I'm always saying that why I have passed from public sector to the private sector. So there should not be bureaucracy in the cyber. It should be much more flexible and much faster to react. Because on the end, if you see the attacks nowadays, if you ask me what is the biggest threat nowadays, I will tell you like phishing email. And it's again old school. Phishing emails has been forever, you know. And again, everything starts with one email and one click. The disaster starts with one click, unfortunately. So that's why we should continue to educate people. I will tell you one thing. For example, for cloud, when cloud was introduced, wow, now the IT people will not have job. Cloud will replace everything. That was not true. Even more people were demanding the tech companies also will be with the artificial intelligence. Someone has to manage that. Maybe someone will not have to code, it will be automatically, but someone will have to manage the processes, will have to define the processes, and will have to deliver the product.
Thank you. It's very it's very important that you stress that there is no much awareness about how artificial intelligence basically influences our own lives, and in how many aspects and domains artificial intelligence can actually help the processes. And it's very good that we have with us a prominent political leader from the country, like the mayor of Kumanovo, who is with us. Because political leaders also have to understand how artificial intelligence can help in the governance, in the processes. Very often we are not aware ourselves. And allow me to mention an example. When I was visiting a farm in the neighborhood of Rome, only 2 weeks ago, they told us, oh, we rely on artificial intelligence. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're milking cows here and you're producing milk. What kind of artificial intelligence you're talking about? Even myself as a computer engineer, I was puzzled. And they said, no. Based on artificial intelligence, we know how much cows we can milk each day and how many hours, because we produce 80% of the needs for the city of Rome. So everything is being coordinated by artificial intelligence, how and when it delivered to the city of Rome. And I said, but what if the computers go down? Oh, we will not know how much to produce then, right? Because the system will be disturbed. So it is so important to understand how artificial intelligence can help us facilitate the processes, to make it more efficient, more expedient, but also to understand the vulnerability. And speaking about the vulnerability, I'm turning to the distinguished professor here from the University of AUN Bonn. I mean, how do we protect ourselves how do we use the artificial intelligence to guarantee cybersecurity on one hand, and to make sure that we are not super vulnerable?
Thank you. Yes, first, congratulations to all for our anniversary. It's really nice to be here and talking about cybersecurity when we are celebrating 20 years of Bonn University. So, regarding the topic, artificial intelligence is not alone. Artificial intelligence is supported by machine learning, deep learning. So, there are a group of technologies that are used to enhance, to develop more services, more efficiency in all kinds of supported activities that every human is surrounded in a working place, at home, etc. So I would also like to mention here Internet of Things, Internet of Everything technology. So cloud technology, remote control using VPN. So artificial intelligence is a good thing. It must be clear. But artificial intelligence can also be misused by bad guys, by bad hackers, and put a lot of damage on computer systems. That's why we can also use artificial intelligence to enhance cybersecurity tools. So with artificial intelligence, and recently there was some NATO exercise, and they were experimenting artificial intelligence cybersecurity tests against not using artificial intelligence to also obtain the same test. They concluded that with artificial intelligence, they can detect more attack vectors and different kind of network and computer attacks. So artificial intelligence is must for future cybersecurity products and tools that will enhance the way that cybersecurity analysts and supporting cybersecurity teams, SOC teams, to efficiently manage the cybersecurity threats, risks, and vulnerabilities. So that is the tool that will be must for emerging network firewalls, network cybersecurity tools that will make better protection of all. We must mention here critical infrastructure systems, because critical infrastructure in the States are the most vulnerable and the most important systems that must be protected for cyber attacks. So governments in the near future should put more accent on protecting cybersecurity infrastructure. And cybersecurity critical infrastructure is in all fields. It's national defense, it's in banking sector, agriculture, the most important systems, that health system, not to forget, that every state must protect. And like other colleagues mentioned, human factor is one of the most important things that must be more cyber aware. Cyber awareness is one of the basic cybersecurity trainings that must, every employee that works with computer must pass this training, because human factor is most vulnerable part in the whole cybersecurity system and networks. So this topic is very broad. I will stop here and take your...
Kira, just because this topic is very broad, but it's also very interesting. One little sub-question, if I may have, because it was mentioned by the previous speaker that you were the pioneer together at the AU Yifun University in setting up the cybersecurity program. How much interest is there among young people to study this? How do you attract young people in order to give attention to this? Because the Deputy Prime Minister was underlining the importance of digital literacy, and now you're saying that the digital literacy has to also include
cybersecurity awareness
on a personal level, that everybody is aware of what Phishing was saying. Ivica was saying was the older school of hacking, but still very, very dominant the world today. How do you promote this among young people to come and study?
We started great cooperation with ThreatDX, and we are also now in the negotiation with CyberGym to make Arena. So we started bootcamp in December this year. There was a lot of interest from also young people, so we have also young people in the first bootcamp that we are in the middle of it. But we also have in the bootcamp learnees employed people from our ministries that already have a lot of experience with cybersecurity. So in this first bootcamp, we have great mixture of beginners and experienced employees in cybersecurity. And this is one of the bootcamps that are unique in the whole world, because in the whole Balkans, I think that we are the only university that offers this kind of bootcamp, and this bootcamp in the same time is performed from the best American universities like New York University, Michigan University, Wisconsin University. So it's really a very, very good boot camp to start from zero. And they are learning all of the fields in cybersecurity, like incident handling, digital forensics, ethical hacking, risk management, and threat intelligence. So it is very important in our country to continue with this kind of cybersecurity education for getting on a higher degree cybersecurity protection and resilience in our country. So we will continue with this and we'll make the best from all the learners to make them good experts in cybersecurity and to help protect and better protect and keep cybersecurity on a good level in the private and also state sector in our country.
Duri wanted to add something.
Yeah, it's very important what Skir mentioned now and Anita before, that practically, if we really want to win in cybersecurity, we need to make professionals, yeah? I'm going to cyber conference all over the world. Always people talk on the high level about the vision of there is no borders in cyber, a lot of same words, same sentences, and then we go to strategy. We need to create a cyber directorate that will control the critical infrastructure, and then everything will be okay. But this is just vision and strategy. Practically, we need to make sure that the good guys, the defenders, will be at least as good as the hackers. Because today the hackers are better. This is the reality. That's why we are always saying that it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if. Everybody get attacked also in Israel because the hackers are more professionals. So it's not enough to have a cyber course of 6 months and get a certificate that probably will give you a job. You need to be trained to be a professional, at least like the hackers. How we do it? We have to create bootcamp. We have to create practical trainings with real hackers and real attacks. So when the real attacks will come, the people will be ready. Because, for example, I was 1 month ago in a training in Israel for the Israeli Stock Exchange, one of a very delicate organization, and I asked the professionals there, when was the last time you faced a real cyber attack? One of them worked 6 years, he told me never. So, you know, Michael Jordan, it took him 10 years to be the best basketball player in the world, not because, of course, he's talented, because he was practicing and practicing every day. He was 24 hours practicing on basketball. So that's what we have to do in cyber. So practically, we have to make sure that the curriculum will be much more practical, not just academical, that we have more bootcamp, more cyber attack scenarios. Otherwise, we don't have a chance. We need to make professionals.
I think Ivica wanted to add something.
Yeah, as a message I want to deliver that I would like to say that the cybersecurity is a process. It's not an activity for a month or 2 or a year. So it should be a continuous activity, and it's not a job for one government. It should be a continuous program for every next government, for every next political leadership. And again, the cybersecurity combination of people, technology, and operations. You can have the technology, but if you don't have people, then you don't have cybersecurity, or vice versa. You can have the people, if you don't have the technology, then again, you will not have a security. With artificial intelligence, again, I would like to emphasize that we should take the opportunity, we should implement it, we should use it, because in a couple of years, HR departments will have to redefine the job positions for their duties of the people. Probably a new job positions, as TrackDX said in their website, will come up, and there will be demand for new type of people. People will come and will go, but we will have to make a continuous. Some people will go to different companies, but we will have to fulfill that place. That's why continuous education is very much important, because on the end, the hackers are trying to find the weakest link. And usually the weakest link is usually our people, unfortunately.
Speaking about people, and because this is a symposium not only with panelists but with people, I want to ask you a question. How many of you do you use smartphone? Everyone, right? And how many, given what you have heard, how many of you do you feel vulnerable using a smartphone? How many of you do you think that you can become a victim just by using a smartphone? Not many of you are aware that the daily usage of the smartphone can actually make you a weak link, and that you can actually be part of a destructive network that might bring down an entire institution or an entire infrastructure. So each and every one of us, using this small tool and device that we believe is so important for us, from the wake-up call to answering messages of love or hate or whatever, to work and everything, we can be part of the system that can be constructive or destructive. How do we raise awareness, Anita, about this? Because I don't think in the audience there is much awareness about the role and the capacity of every single individual.
Well, the famous cyber hygiene trainings, for starters. Actually, I'm laughing, but it is no joke. The public institutions, especially since they are our target, are the most vulnerable through the employees that they are having. You will be amazed of what kind of activities are happening by the non-educated part of the people working in the public sector. They are bringing the USB that are attached with viruses, they are opening, sorry to say it, porn sites while they're at work, and so on and so on. So whatever is, for starters, good is definitely one cyber hygiene training for each and every public employee, but also in the private sector, also in the civil sector. Definitely the cyber hygiene is something that we should start with. There are many, I would say, providers that can give you this training. There are free courses and so on and so on. National CERT is also the body through which there are many of these trainings available on their website. So if you go there, you can find many of them and download them and circulate them in your ecosystems. Actually, what we are doing together with the Ministry of Information Society Administration and the cabinet of the DPM, as she saw earlier, she is very dedicated to the cybersecurity activities. We are trying to push forward this law, and there later on to this consultative group that will help these public institutions to become as resilient as possible. So, for starters, I would say.
Thank you, Anita. For starters, this is not only a topic for Macedonia, and this was not to expose the public. This debate goes everywhere in the world. There is a massive debate going on at the moment after government in the west of Europe is banning TikTok on their phones. I don't know, Mayor Dimitrievski, do you have TikTok on your phone? If you were in Belgium, or if you were in the UK or in Germany or the Netherlands, you would have been banned from using TikTok because you would have been the weak link in exposing yourself, your administration, your employees and everybody, just because the cybersecurity would be part of the threat to your work, to the work of your employees, of your own citizens, of your colleagues and everybody. So without trying to make a threat, I would like to refer to what Ilya in the previous panel said, that there is a hope. As much as we have education, as much as we have experts who are dedicated to deliver the knowledge, as much as we have dedicated workers who are either in private or public field, and as much as we have governmental support, both domestic and international, to address this issue, we are going to be able to face the challenges of the time. So use the phones. Sorry?
Maybe they have some questions.
Yeah, use your phones, but be aware of the both opportunities and the threats of using the smartphone and the devices. Are there any questions from the audience?
I have a question.
Sefer,
actually.
do you have a question?
Yes, I have. I'm not that the audience. I came here because it was a free seat. And we said that today will be relaxed day because this is we are here like a liberal institution, so everybody can say what he thinks in his mind. So what came to my mind, and I discussed with Madame Pesheva, we said, you know, what is cyber? It's like making a government without Ministry of Defense. So having a country without defense. So usually we are becoming aware when it happens. And we as Macedonians usually say, može I pološo, you know this sentence, može I pološo. Why we don't say može I podobro? Let's do it better, not why we should think that it can happen worse. Let's protect ourselves, and I'm coming to the point, and I'm coming to this, let's say, our university, which is providing education. The best way to protect ourselves is through education. Let's educate our kids now, so we will be safe after 10, 15, 20 years. Why we should go to hard way? Yeah, this is not something you can do it in a rush. This is something which you can plan strategically as a country, as an institution, as a big corporation. This is what you have to invest strategically in long term. This is not something which is coming today and tomorrow will be gone. No, this is education and training. Mr. Dovi said very well. Why some institutions are never attacked? Because they are providing trainings every day. They see all the holes which we don't see. And what we are doing here at the university, we signed 2 agreements. Mr. Elat is representing Thrive DX. We started the boot camp for the people who are aware of it, but they can start from zero to hero. So they can start from zero to hero. We have our students here who started, didn't have any knowledge in IT, but they started, they put themselves, and after a couple of periods, the systems push them. Either you succeed, either you're not for this job. So, second thing, what we are doing with Mr. Dovi, it's CyberGym IEC, which is the biggest electric company in Israel, which is the most attacked company in the world, between 6,000 and 8,000 times per day, right? They know every hole, how they can be attacked. What we are providing here is a cyber arena, cyber training center, which will have all the scenarios, all the possibilities. What we brought here and found, it's representing not only Macedonia. We are representing Bulgaria, Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Montenegro. Yeah, I think that's it. We are in charge to organize regional training centers with education. We are not spying. We are not doing intelligence. We are doing education. And who is the best in education? Who is the most attacked? Who is the most attacked? These guys here. I called them. I said, guys, you're the most attacked. We want to cooperate. Thanks to Mr. Hilikbar, thanks to Menora Enkidu, thanks to people who wants to help and support these societies. So what we are doing here, it's not that we are experimenting. Ne izmišljujeme topla voda. The education is not that we are implementing hot water. We know how the system works. We are implementing. It's very simple. But who is complicating? Those who are not capable. Who is complicating? Those who don't have knowledge. Who is complicating that is? Those who want to have personal benefit of it. Education is not one of them. In education, you don't know at the end of the day how much you earn. It's not a company. You sell 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 waters, 50 dinars, 300 dinars, you didn't earn end of the day. In education, you invest, and then it comes after 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, a century even. That's why universities survived many centuries due to changes. They changed. Even Oxford and Cambridge, they started as a church universities. And then they changed. They change all the time. So what we are doing here today, and my message, and I thank you, all of you, for the participants, that we have to change. We have to become aware and change. We have to become aware and change. This is what our society is doing. We have to become aware and try to change. And educational institutions, universities have a role. I said it earlier, not only to just teach them what is written in the book and bring them the knowledge, but also to be part of the society, to be part of the changes in the society, to be loud, to be liberal, to be open-minded, to have freedom of speech. This is the way we have to go together, and together we make the picture. That's why FON is working, cooperating with state universities, with USA, with European Union, with Israel, with Germany, with France. Why? Because we have long-term vision. We have long-term needs. We cannot do today like this and tomorrow change. No, because one generation will fall down in river of Vardar, and we don't want that. We don't want the people to be to destroy one generation. And what it's one saying. It says, if you want to destroy a nation, you reduce the quality of education. That's it. Very simple. And I hope that the things will change. And I believe in that. Even nobody believes, I believe in that. Even not nobody, sorry, it was a mistake. Not, majority doesn't believe even in our own country, on our own future. But I believe, because we are here creative hub. We are not, we don't have any political background. We don't have any, we can work with every country. We are open for science. It's universal. And scientific work and scientific workers should be respected on their job and not on their political, ethnical differences or whatever. So today we send a very clear message. Let's go together. Let's create a future together. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to love Sefer, right? When we were discussing yesterday, I asked him, like, Sefer, are you going to say something tomorrow during the panel or not? And it's like, no, bro, I will just sit and listen. I'll speak only at the festivities at 6:30 p.m. In the morning, there is a symposium. You guys speak. I will just keep quiet. You didn't keep quiet neither on the first. You didn't keep quiet on the second panel, but you delivered an extremely important message. You're doing a fantastic job, and I do wish you from the heart that you and your institution do not only celebrate 20, but 200th anniversary of this university. Good luck.
Inshallah.
I think we are concluding with this, the second panel, and I would invite Mr. Professor Trifunovsky to prepare for the next one. As we are descending down from the stage, I would just like to ask the panelists to make a joint photo together, if you do not mind.
Може станете панелисти да седнете. Ево го и министерот за образование пристигнува.